I'm about to say one of the most obvious sentences ever said about parenting. You have 18 years to make an adult. This feels so obvious your brain might skip over the most important part. Make an adult. If you had the ingredients and 2 hours to make a cake, you wouldn't expect to see an impressive cake after 2 hours if you didn't put the work in. You need to know what you're trying to make, then do the work in that direction. It's the same with raising future adults. This doesn't mean you need to turn into a drill sergeant. This doesn't mean you can't follow child-led or responsive parenting strategies. I'm actually a fan of these. 18 years is a long time, so you can take your time, but you should focus slightly more on the person they're becoming than on the person they are today. The question all parents need to ask themselves is, what do I want for my child? If you're a parent, I hope you want something better for them than what you had. But I think there's another universal, something broad but still clear, the most capable young adult possible. Like 18 years to make an adult, this almost feels too obvious. Brains will want to skim over it without considering what it means. Someone who is capable can do things, a lot of things. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not with complete comfort, but broadly. This is breadth before depth strategy. Imagine your child going for their first important job interview, wearing a suit, and the interviewer's running late. So the interview becomes a lunch at a fancy sushi restaurant. How do you picture them doing? If they can stay relaxed and focused without worrying about the menu options or showing themselves up with bad table manners, they are capable. What if we change the scenario to grabbing a hot dog with a bunch of construction workers, all twice their age? Still capable? The goal isn't to create a master sushi itamae or site foreman. The goal is to raise someone who can walk into unfamiliar situations without falling apart. You can't imagine every possible situation that will arise for them, but you can give them exposure, and exposure builds confidence. It's not about preparing them for one perfect future, you're giving them range. Kids will be kids. I promise, I have some practical advice coming, but first, I need to vent. If you've ever taken a flight, you will have seen non-existent parenting in action. Children climbing all over their seat, looking directly at the person behind, or kicking the seat in front, with their parent just completely ignoring the child, usually with headphones in. They know what their kids are like, so they invested in the expensive noise-cancelling ones. The parents activated airplane mode on themselves. Chances are you've seen something like this yourself. But have you ever seen a 4-year-old ask their mum to take them to the toilet for a poo in a restaurant? They're sat with other children their age, family and friends of their parents, and being told, just do it in your nappy? This kid was fully self-aware. He was embarrassed. I've seen parents bring specific brand of bread rolls everywhere because it's the only thing the children will eat other than McDonald's chicken nuggets. I like to imagine children in the early civilizations demanding a Happy Meal while everyone else standing around wondering what the fuck chicken nugget is and why it's worth going on a hunger strike for. Now, very quickly, I need to acknowledge all kids are different, and some kids genuinely need a different path. But a different path is not the same thing as no path. If your child needs support, adaptation, or more time, give them that. But don't dress up doing nothing as respecting their pace. Yes, kids will be kids, so parents must be parents. Food is a common issue, and it was once an issue in our house. I don't know if it's so common because kids learn at an early age that their favourite food is always available, so if they just hold out long enough, their parent might cave and go get it. I'm not sure. But what's worked in our family might work in yours. There's only one dinner available each night. It's that simple. We don't do child meals. There's no Chicken Nugget Monday, Twizzler Tuesday, Dinosaur Wednesday in our house. My kids have an 8-year age gap and it has never been an issue for us. The only concession we make is with spicy food. We make sure a low spice version of the same meal is prepared for our youngest. When we eat out, our kids pick their own meals, but I have one rule. It must be in keeping with the restaurant. If we're an Italian, pizza or pasta is fine. American, cheeseburger, hot dog, chicken tenders, no problem. Mexican, mini fajitas or quesadillas. As a side rant, I really hate kids' menus at restaurants. I get why they do it, but I think kids' meals should be smaller versions of the same popular adult meals. Everywhere just has the same beige kids options now. At some restaurants, we do kid tax for our youngest. We ask for an extra plate, and when the food arrives, everyone gives up a bit of their meal. And while we're on it, what happened to family style? Make the next step available. When your kid starts crawling or walking, you should step back and make space for the next step. And when they conquer it, make the next one available. In the early stages, this is literal, but as they progress, this might mean taking the stabilizers off their bike as soon as they become confident with them on. We did this the same day they received their bike. They had learning momentum and asked for them to be removed, so we took one off. They struggled for a bit, but then asked for the other one off too. So we did. I just said, once it's off, and it won't go back on. We've kept this going as they've got older, going into shops and buying something on their own, travelling on the tube alone. I was following behind. Speaking to adults directly instead of hiding behind us. Trying skills early while the stakes are still low. And the results with our oldest is he's been able to drive a manual car for the last 2 years, and he's still 4 years away from being able to take his test. Of course, we do this off-road safely and legally, but it's a skill he'll need one day. He loves it, and when he's allowed on the roads, it means he has more bandwidth to focus on other vehicles. My rule is simple. Don't wait until a skill is needed to start practicing. School is more than the curriculum. You can easily tell a child to stand up for themselves and respectfully challenge people, but without exercising the muscle, it will never become strong. For my final example, my 13-year-old at the time got in a fight at school. He didn't start it, but he didn't back down either. So the school gave all the kids involved a week of detentions. He came home and told us the full story, and after finding out he had only acted in self-defense, we encouraged him to go to the detention and refuse to sit down. No! Instead saying that he had only turned up to politely refuse the detention. We weren't teaching him to be disrespectful, we were teaching him that if he believes something is wrong, he can challenge it calmly, respectfully, and with reason. Of course, we all knew this would escalate within the school and would likely result in a one-to-one with the head. We spent some time brainstorming possible lines of questioning, practicing responses and staying calm and logical. Cutting this story short, it worked. All of his detentions were removed. A side benefit was that his refusal to sit down in the detention room initially happened in front of some of the most popular girls in his year. Look out for opportunities like this. This worked perfectly, but the important thing here wasn't the result. It would have been just as useful to his development if it didn't go his way. There was no bad outcome to this exercise. 18 years to make an adult. You can probably tell I'm a proud parent. It's an amazing feeling and I hope you have it too. But I haven't got it automatically. I haven't sat on the sidelines and just watched my children develop. I also don't think I've been sacrificing their childhood for their adulthood. I just don't make excuses for them or myself. I'm making this video to vent about all the shoddy parenting you only need to leave your house to see. Kids on tablets in restaurants picking up nuggets on autopilot like a Roblox-brained zombie. It's not the kid that needs to wake up, it's the dad. We can all do better. If you got this far, take this as a call to action. Make a small change. I promise you will see the benefits. Kids will be kids. I couldn't agree more. And if you let them, they will stay that way. Okay, so I'm guessing the really bad parents have rage quit the video by now to go preheat the oven for the 20th consecutive beige buffet. We've all got stories. Let me know what you've seen in the comments below. Also, please share your parenting tips and tricks. What's worked really well for you? This is a new channel. This is only my second video. So if you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing. Dad out.